Hi, Johannes. It's Sharon. I was just
Hi,
going to give
Sharon.
you hi. Hi everyone. I was just going to give you a quick update on Stephen, who is the chap that I spoke about two two sessions back, who was diagnosed with skin cancer.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So one of the things that we kind of talked through when we had the last session about him was to work on the anxiety, which is obviously a constellation. So one of the things that I did was to work on, as you said, the shock of the diagnosis. Um,
Mhm.
and when we went into the VACOGs, etc., and the energy behind that, he said it was around about a 9 or a 10. It was really very strong. So I did I did EFT on that. He's a really lovely client to work with because he responds really quickly to EFT, and you always know when you've had a result because he starts to kind of almost laugh. And I said, "Oh,
Mhm.
what's happened now?" He said he had this horrible feeling in his heart, and he gave me all the colours and everything. And he said, all of a sudden, I've now got this lovely yellow ball in my heart. And he said, I can see this bunch of flowers that were in the kitchen at the time when I was feeling the most stress. And he said, it's like I've gone from this very dark, kind of dark feeling, dark pictures to this really kind of happy image. And he was just saying, God, I asked him, if because he was about a 9 or a 10, what the level of sort of fear, anxiety, etc., had gone to. And he said it had gone down to a 0. So that was Monday. And also the one thing that I found a little bit difficult is I went back again to trying to find out what had triggered the skin. And it clearly is his boss, because every time I asked him to go into the tissue, it was his boss that came up. But I couldn't. The event that came up just before the skin was diagnosed, so the stress trigger,
Mhm.
didn't seem to have that high a score. But when I got him to go back into the tissue again, he remembered an event which has happened since he went back to work, and he said that was about a 9 or a 10 again. So I worked on that one on the theory that if I could get that one down, then hopefully that would have a cascade effect backwards, if that kind of makes sense. I don't know if
Mhm.
that's the
Mhm.
case, but
Was it
again,
related to the skin and the anxiety?
yes, it was also to do very much with integrity, about
Mm.
how he felt about saving face, etc. And
Right.
interestingly, the way that it was constructed in terms of the VACOGs, it was all around his head, which is interesting because obviously where the skin issue came was on his face. And what I was really pleased about, and again, it went from 10 right back down to 0 again. And again, he's great because I always know when it's changed because he starts to laugh and he tells me how the image has changed.
Right.
And just as we'd finished, and I'm seeing him again next week, he said, oh my God, I've got this most horrendous headache. And
Mm.
I said, that's really, really good, Stephen. I said, because I think you're getting, I said, that's a sign of resolution. I said, regeneration, the fact that you're getting this headache. So I was kind of really pleased that having worked on his head, he then got a really bad headache. So I thought, I mean, I'm right in saying that is resolution, isn't it? A bad headache. So that was fantastic. And kind of like Denver said, the really great thing about Stephen, he's like me. He actually well, I used to work in the pharmaceutical industry. He actually still works in the pharmaceutical industry, and it's great that he's so open to what I'm talking about. He hasn't. He's kind of come on board really quickly. I've kind of done like you said and framed about stress, etc. And he's actually said to me that he's talking about what I'm doing to people at work. So I thought, well, that's brilliant.
It's funny, right? I mean, it's a business, people work there and everybody makes good money, but still they have health issues, and
Yeah.
they need
So
resolution. And that's really the biggest, word of mouth is still the biggest promotional factor, right? Where people talk about it and share it and say, "Oh my God, your skin is much better. What did you do?" Here we go,
yeah.
right? So
And
that
he
that
does look. When he came to my house on Monday, he looks so much better.
Mm.
His skin has healed really quickly, considering he had and he's been doing the breathing. I've told him to just keep on doing deep breathing as often as he can. Um, but he looks so much better, and his scar has healed up really well, and he's actually smiling. It's really nice to see. The only thing I did sort of leave him to think about is clearly this, a little bit like, I think was it Linda last week was talking about her client who's getting bullied at work. He really doesn't like the environment he's in because of this boss. And we had quite a long chat about it, and he did say to me, I used to absolutely love my job, but because of her, if I was to win loads of money, I wouldn't think twice now about leaving my job. And I said, well, it is something you need to think about, Stephen, because however much I can help you, if you are in an environment which you're telling me you really don't like, you know, you need to think about that. But he said he's hoping that she's gonna move on. But
you know, and thank you, Sharon, for bringing this up, because see, that's such a nice example where the inner work is tremendous, and still the social situation is not really in alignment who he is now.
He's actually said that to me. He said, she is so not who I am. She's made the company not what I am. And of course, this is all the integrity, which of course is the skin. And I said, I don't think he realized, but he said quite a few times to me on Monday, I feel that I have to protect myself, which of course is what skin cancer is. So
it's the dermis, right? It's the dermis.
Yeah. So I've brought it up and just mentioned it to him and said, look, I can work with you as much as I can, but it's something for you to think about whether we can look to maybe we have started putting strategies in place, but I said if she's going to be there long term, then you maybe need to think about that.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that's once the internal world is freed up from the stress, the trigger, the emotion, now that he can think and make conscious decision is not driven by the unconscious pressures that come up. So that's perfect. But it shows the social part, right? And we always should pay attention to that. If it comes up, if that's okay, if that's not relevant, then, you know, we might not have to address it. But if it does, it's very important to talk with the client about how he could adjust his social surroundings, work or relationships, whatever it is, to align with him, with his true inner self.